Antonio Brown is being a diva. This weekend, what is that word? This weekend, reporter Adam Schefter shared this. I can't even talk. Raiders wide receiver Antonio Brown has told team officials that unless he gets to wear his old helmet, then he will not play football again. That is what Adam Schefter reported. First of all, that is ridiculous. And the lesson to me is this. I personally have taken this to heart. I feel it feels like a punch in the gut. I feel like an idiot. In the real world, I don't put up with high maintenance or drama. No matter how talented someone is, I always am like, I don't care how great it is to be around you. If the bad moments are that bad, I'm done. Like in the dating world, for example. No matter how gorgeous a girl is, no matter how fun our dates are, if she's drama all the time, a ton of nonsense all the time, I walk away. I would. I don't want to tolerate nonsense. And with Antonio Brown, I should have seen this coming. I feel like an idiot, man. I should have seen this forever ago. I was so excited to watch Antonio Brown play for the Raiders. He's so incredibly talented. I think, if he plays great, he would help Derek Carr, the Raiders quarterback, a ton. But he is a total drama queen. He just is. That's who he is as a player. And I needed to ask myself, what would Bill Belichick do here? Legendary coach of the Patriots. He's won 6 Super Bowls. Bill Belichick doesn't tolerate BS. He doesn't. Bill Belichick would trade Antonio Brown. Frankly, Bill Belichick would have traded Ezekiel Elliott, the Dallas Cowboys running back. If you hold out, Bill Belichick's like, I'm not putting up with that. Get out of here. He wouldn't have gotten into that situation in the first place. You don't hold out with the Patriots. Has it ever happened? I can't remember it. Players are like people in the dating pool. They have a ton of drama. Run fast and run far. Get away from that. This is not the first time Antonio Brown has been a drama queen. The Steelers traded him away because he was too much for them. Facebook live stream in the locker room. He had weird issues with other receivers and their quarterback, Big Ben. He wouldn't play at the end of the season. Here's the situation. Antonio Brown wears a really old helmet. It's a Schutt Air Alliance, and it's 10 years old. Now, NFL policy does not allow you to wear a helmet that is 10 years old or older. After a decade, there's a line. Helmets are declared too old, and NFL policy does not allow for players to wear decade-old helmets. So again, after a decade, a helmet is too old for a player to use in the NFL. That is NFL policy. It's a rule. It's a law in the book. And Antonio Brown believes he's bigger than the law and above the law. The NFL is just trying to look out for themselves. They are trying to avoid being sued by players with head injuries. They're doing what they can. And I don't think look, there's a lot of helmets that came out in the last 10 years. Antonio Brown is threatening to retire because he can't wear a 10-year-old helmet. And last year, by the way, he was notified by the NFL, hey, your helmet's 9 years old. You are not going to be allowed to use it next season. 2018 is the last year you're able to use it. He knew it coming into this year. This is not an issue between Antonio Brown and the Raiders. It's an issue between AB and the league, NFL policy. And this whole situation is ridiculous. An unnamed Raiders coach was quoted saying this. We don't know who he is, anonymous, but an unnamed Raiders coach said this. He said, honestly, the most insane thing I've ever heard. I don't know why it's so important to him. It doesn't make any sense. And man, pretty much, yeah, I agree with that. What the heck's going on? Also, apparently, Antonio Brown has frostbitten feet. He had an accident during a cryotherapy session. He left the Raiders. He's seeking treatment. He's basically cut off all contact with the Raiders. And then there's more. Apparently, he's been late to meetings. And the meetings, sometimes he misses meetings. Apparently, the meetings he does go to, he's not paying attention. He's very distracted. It's so bizarre, and I should have seen this coming from a mile away. When the Steelers traded him away, Antonio Brown is the best wide receiver in the entire NFL, and the Steelers said, we will give him away. The Steelers traded him away for a 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick. That's basically nothing. Red flag should have gone off to me right there. The Steelers wanted to get rid of him because of the drama in the locker room. They didn't want to deal with him. His helmet, now he's not going to meetings. Drama, drama, drama. Right? Right? I mean, all we're hearing is a bunch of crap about Antonio Brown. Drama, right? Right? Okay, now I'm going to flip the script on you guys. I've never done this. I've never set up something one way and then argued the other direction. So far, I've painted Antonio Brown as a total drama queen, which he absolutely is. Antonio Brown is a pain in the butt, ton of nonsense. Everything I said was completely true. But I made a comparison that's a bad one, that I'm sure a lot of people in the media are going to make. I said if Antonio Brown was in the dating pool, I'd walk away. Too much noise, too much irritation, too much drama. Now, here's the truth about me as a person. I hate that stuff. I hate when dogs bark. You go into a house, they won't shut up. It's like, I like quiet dogs. I don't like that nonsense. That's too much. The loud dog, done. Nope. I wear the same clothes every single day because I don't like making decisions. I don't like that nonsense. I don't like large crowds. Don't like loud noises. Don't like loud spaces. I don't. The things I don't like, I don't tolerate. To a reasonable extent, right? The things I can control, I avoid them. I have a low tolerance for BS. Antonio Brown riled me up when I heard all this news. I was like, what the heck? Dang it. And then the most interesting thing happened. The Raiders head coach, John Gruden, did the smartest thing I have ever heard of an NFL coach doing. I am so blown away and astounded by what John Gruden did. He came out and said, I support Antonio Brown. And I was like, what? I cannot, and be clear too. He didn't say, I believe Antonio Brown should have the helmet he wants. He didn't even mention the helmet. He said, I support Antonio Brown. That's very careful language. That's very good language to use. It's lawyer speak. Here's what John Gruden did with that comment. By saying, I support Antonio Brown, he removed the controversy. I have never been more impressed with any NFL head coach than I have been with John Gruden this offseason. He's done multiple things. I'll list them in a minute. And I just go, wow. You know, I've said I would end the relationship because I don't want to put up with the nonsense. John Gruden, unfazed. Nonsense? Yeah. I think we need to start giving John Gruden more credit. He knew this was coming. When he traded for Antonio Brown, he knew exactly who Antonio Brown was. He knew he'd get a ton of nonsense and a ton of drama, but he doesn't care because John Gruden wants the benefit that Antonio Brown brings to the Raiders on Sundays. He's manipulating things perfectly. Dating a girl, it's a ton of nonsense. She's always mad, ton of BS. Like, And instead of letting it bother him, he's just gone, who cares? You like the benefits. I like the benefits of dating this girl. The drama, you roll your eyes, you laugh at it, you don't let it bother you. That's just Sheila. Whatever. Where did Sheila come from? That's a weird name to bring up. That's just how it is. It doesn't bother me. John Gruden doesn't care what kind of helmet Antonio Brown wears. He doesn't. Frankly, I don't think he cares about anything really. He does. All he wants from Antonio Brown is to play on Sundays and play his butt off. Doesn't care if he's in meetings. He can't really say that publicly, obviously, but secretly, deep down, doesn't matter. All that matters is, does Antonio Brown show up on Sundays and continue to be the best receiver in the entire NFL? That is what the Raiders want. They can't say that publicly. They never will. But that's what you want from Antonio Brown. Is he a pain in the butt? Is there a ton of nonsense? Of course. Also, you got to remember, the Raiders got Antonio Brown basically for free. They gave the Steelers a 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick for the best wide receiver in the entire NFL. Unbelievable. That's unreal. The Steelers just didn't want to deal with him. They said, have him. Take him. I had actually forgotten how much they gave up to get Antonio Brown. In my head, I was assuming 1st-round pick. No. I was reminded, oh yeah, they got him basically for nothing. The Raiders said, we will gladly take all of this nonsense because we want the benefits he brings to our team on the field on Sundays. Said, we're going to take a different approach than the Steelers did. Instead of getting riled up, letting all the nonsense bother him, we're going to expect it. We're going to deal with it. We're just going to accept it. That's who he is. And guess what? We're going to support him. John Gruden said he supported Antonio Brown. What? Where did that come from? It's genius. Let's be honest about something. What would John Gruden gain from challenging Antonio Brown, from calling him out, for saying, why isn't he nothing. All you do is make Antonio Brown mad. Antonio Brown is a crazy person. Deal with him like you would a crazy person. Don't make them mad. Don't make them hate you. Here's what he did. Instead of becoming enemies with Antonio Brown by calling out the receiver, John Gruden made him an ally. And now, even if so, because in my opinion, I think Antonio Brown is kind of a crazy person who is going to have a bunch of nonsense the entire time he's with the Raiders. He's a drama queen. But now, if ever in a meeting privately with John Gruden, maybe even publicly, if Antonio Brown ever says, John Gruden hates me, all John Gruden has to say is, no, I don't. I traded for him. I like him. I want him. And I support him. I've always supported him. I supported him when the NFL was mean to him, when I let him have his helmet. Antonio, when the NFL was mean, they tried to take your helmet. I was here for you. I said I supported you. I got your back. John Gruden doesn't care about the helmet. It's not about the helmet. It's about Sundays. Here's the other reality about Antonio Brown. There is no way Antonio Brown is going to retire. It's an empty threat. I have never seen a player work the way Antonio Brown does. He's, again, his work ethic reminds me of Jerry Rice. Obviously, they are far different people off the field. I'd way rather have Jerry Rice on my team. Say what you want, though, about Antonio Brown. His work ethic is unbelievable. All my friends who play receiver at Division I in Division I football, at that level, say, nobody's like Antonio Brown. Nobody does it. The reason why Antonio Brown is the best wide receiver in the NFL is not because he's the biggest or the strongest or the most physically. No, it's he works his butt off. He's developed himself as a player. His technique is flawless. So obviously, to me, you don't do that much work if you don't love something. It's like skateboarding. People that, skateboarders have this, kind of stereotype about them. They don't work hard. Try learning how to kickflip and tell me that a skateboarder doesn't understand hard work. You jump, the board flips under you, and you land on it. If you can do that every time, you clearly understand the meaning of hard work. Antonio Brown didn't do the work because he loves football. That's why Antonio Brown did all that work. It's obvious to me he loves football. Another factor is money. Look, if Antonio Brown retired right now, he would forfeit $30 million guaranteed. That's an insane person would do that. No, he is crazy, but I don't think even Antonio Brown is going to walk away from $30 million guaranteed. No way. Antonio Brown is just a bunch of nonsense, and John Gruden is not bothered by it in the slightest. He just wants the benefit of his talent. You really got to give John Gruden credit here. He has his years in the media taught him how to manipulate the media. He knows what happens when coaches say certain things. A big rumor for the Raiders this offseason was whether or not Derek Carr is really their franchise quarterback. Does John Gruden actually believe in Derek Carr? Is Derek Carr the future quarterback of the Raiders? Is he the long-term plan? And John Gruden did something really smart. He changed the narrative about that. What he did was brought in Nathan Peterman. My dad sent me a meme this morning about Nathan Peterman. It said, Nathan Peterman plays quarterback, by the way. It said, Nathan Peterman, defensive player of the week. Because at one point, Nathan Peterman threw 5 interceptions in one half of a game. In the last 20 years, Nathan Peterman is the biggest joke among quarterbacks in the entire NFL. Nothing like it. Never seen anything like it. He's a joke. He's a meme. The idea to suggest that Nathan Peterman is going to replace Derek Carr is a joke. It's laughable. To me, that's why John Gruden brought him in. The idea is so ridiculous. Of course it's not going to happen. What that does is removes the narrative. Is someone going to replace Derek Carr? Their backup's Nathan Peterman. He ain't going anywhere. Now all the focus is on John Gruden. Every time John Gruden says, wow, Nathan Peterman's really growing on me, he's slowly shifting the narrative away from Derek Carr, taking the pressure off, taking the attention away from him. You got to give John Gruden credit. He knows exactly what he's doing. So Antonio Brown, he's a bunch of nonsense. But it doesn't concern me at all. It doesn't. John Gruden isn't bothered. John Gruden has a plan. He traded for him. He expected this. You trade for Antonio Brown, a guy who's had a history of nonsense with the Steelers. Of course he's going to be nonsense now. It's really funny to me, too. Here's the other narrative, man. So I'm not worried about him at all, but I cannot believe people say the Raiders made a mistake trading for him. They gave away a 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick for the opportunity to have the best wide receiver in the entire NFL on your team. That's a good risk to take. Well worth the risk, if you ask me. I don't know, man. I really think the Raiders know what they're doing, and I am not concerned about the Antonio Brown drama, even in the slightest. It's not a concern to me. It's not a problem. I wouldn't worry about it. My name is Zach Schaumler. This is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It is my favorite thing in the entire world. And you may not know, my dream when I graduate college eventually is to do this show as my full-time job. Now, I also want to be very upfront and honest about my plan and what's going on. I recently monetized my YouTube channel. What that means is that some of my videos make money through ad revenue. Now, it's fewer than you think. A lot of my videos get claimed. But in the past, I've received donations through the form of PayPal and Patreon.com. PayPal.me/Zach Schaumler, Patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. So because I'm making ad revenue, it felt weird to just get donations. I wanted to give something back to the people who support me on Patreon. So now there's a reward. If you support me on Patreon, you can submit questions at the dollar level or above. You just need to give $1 a month. If you do that, you can submit questions to a pool of questions where I look at. I'll read all the questions on Patreon, and I pick the top couple every episode and read them and answer them on a segment called Ask Zach. Pick the top couple questions and answer them at the end of every single episode. Now, that's for people who want to support me with money. If you have no money to give, I totally understand. I've actually never supported anybody on Patreon. I feel kind of weird about that. I'm a broke college kid myself. I totally understand. But if you believe in me and if you believe in my dream and still want to help me, one thing you can do is help me grow by telling your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Help me grow by telling your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. Guys, thank you so much. I know that was a long spiel. I really appreciate it, and hope you have a great day.